Big developments on the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee is preparing for tomorrow's deposition of Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. It will be the first opportunity for lawmakers to directly confront her with questions. Maxwell will appear virtually during a closed committee hearing. Here's what survivor Danielle Bensky told me she expects.
I don't trust anything that she has to say. She is a master at the art of deception. And so even just having her speak is a little bit disconcerting because we just want to make sure, she's in this for herself. So we want to make sure that this isn't just her way of trying to get even more of a sweetheart deal. We are all sitting on the edge of our seats, I think, to see what she has to say. But I also think she's perjured herself so many times that I just hope that everybody takes it with a grain of salt.
And joining me now, we have Eric Fudali, lawyer representing Epstein-Maxwell survivors. So, Eric, I'm glad you're here. Does Danielle reflect what you're hearing from your clients, and what are they hoping lawmakers will press Maxwell on?
Absolutely. We certainly agree, and we certainly have those same concerns. It's important to remember Ghislaine Maxwell, one, is a convicted child sex trafficker. Two, she is someone who's been accused of perjury, lying under oath. And three, she is someone who is trying to curry favor, perhaps get a pardon or clemency from one of the people she's likely to be asked questions about. So you combine those three things, and it is very, very difficult to trust anything Ghislaine Maxwell is going to say during this hearing or during this deposition. It's just, we just don't trust her. And also, I've heard she's going to plead the fifth, and she's likely not going to answer any real substantive questions. So I'm not really looking forward to this. I don't think she deserves a platform to be given or to be giving any more attention. She should just be sitting behind bars where she belongs.
You've said, Eric, you had one client whose name was posted 538 times in the most recent release. How did she react to seeing herself exposed in this way while DOJ redacted and protected the names of potential Epstein enablers?
Well, that's just it. That's the most jarring and frustrating part is that, you could say it's incompetence. You could say they made a mistake. They missed her name, but they didn't make any mistakes and they didn't miss any names when it came to redacting potential abusers, redacting, suspicious emails and suspicious people who you certainly want to know, are these people abusing these young women? Who's this person who's talking to Jeffrey Epstein about victims and girls? I mean, that's what's so almost re-victimizing for my clients, for the survivors, is that the DOJ did such a fantastic job redacting potential abusers, but did such an atrocious and embarrassing job redacting the names of the people whose names should be protected, and that is of the survivors.
And you'd think that was what they were doing that delayed them 6 weeks to releasing the files past the legal deadline to do so. That said, after the latest mentions, we have seen at least 6 men either resign or be ousted from very high-profile positions, even though none of them are accused of abuse or even under investigation for any wrongdoing. We also see new details about communications with Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Similarly, none of them are accused of any wrongdoing. And Bill Gates even addressed the new details in a new interview with an Australian journalist. Eric, let's watch this.
I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. Every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Eric, do you believe him? I mean, have you come across anything in the Epstein files that contradicts his explanation?
No, I haven't seen evidence that contradicts anything Mr. Gates said. But I think what's important generally when looking at the men whose pictures you posted is it's important to recall that despite the sweetheart deal Alex Acosta gave Jeffrey Epstein in 2008, he did make him become a registered sex offender, and that was public knowledge. Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty. He was a registered sex offender. So while certainly it's not necessarily a crime, and there's been no accusations or evidence that any of those men committed crimes, I do think they deserve some questioning, and I do think they could certainly deserve some scrutiny and some hard questioning as to why. why they continued perhaps to associate closely, party with, ask to party with, visit the island, have a very close association with someone they either knew or very much perhaps turned a blind eye or should have known was a registered sex offender and continually surrounded by women. So absolutely, there's been no evidence, at least that I've seen, and no accusations against any of those men that you posted. But I do think anyone who continued to have close association with Jeffrey Epstein in a social setting after 2008 just deserves some questions as to why.
So are we near the end of the Epstein saga, or are we closer to the beginning in a way now that documents held by DOJ are finally seeing the light of day?
I hope the latter. I mean, certainly it's been the prerogative of this administration to sort of quash this story and to move on to other stories. But it's been the courage, it's been the bravery, and the intent to not let this be buried of the survivors that I think has driven all this. So my hope and my intent is to have this just be the beginning. We do have a lot of documents. I have plenty to say about the disaster in which they were provided and some of the redaction. I think there needs to be a lot more redactions and a lot more documents provided. However, there is a lot of information. We are seeing certain men being held accountable, maybe not within the law, but of their employment and public, and public perception. So, yeah, for me, this is just the beginning. We are going to continue to fight on behalf of these survivors until every single man who either facilitated or co-abused with Jeffrey Epstein is held accountable.
All right, Eric Fidali, duly noted. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you again.